Hey friends, welcome back to the Rubber Duck Recruiter. I just got off the phone with a subscriber. You guys have been putting time on my calendar, and moving forward, if you see this and you want to put time on my calendar, give me a reason why so I know what you want to talk about, because it filled up with 3 people today and I unfortunately had to cancel on a couple of them because I just didn't have the time. So yeah, just kind of give me a little bit of notice and give me a reason why you want to talk. Anyways, I was speaking with this subscriber, and she lived in Fort Myers, Florida, and her question was, how do I get started in recruiting? I'm in healthcare and I want to get into tech recruiting, but like, how do I even get the job? Like, how do I, and she also wanted to know, can I really be flexible and work remote and all this stuff? Is it all true? Blah, blah, blah. So this is me answering that question. Like, how do you first get started if this is a totally new thing for you? How do you become a recruiter with zero experience? Maybe that's the title of this video. So first things first, you need to kind of understand the basics, which is why a lot of the videos on this channel are going to be really useful for you. Got to understand what phone screens are. You got to understand what sourcing is. Got to kind of generally understand what the SDLC is and tech is in general. Got to understand KPIs to a certain extent. Got to understand a little bit of selling, so on and so forth. But the very first step for you to become a recruiter is past just kind of this understanding, is to look into your area. She was in Fort Myers, Florida, and look for the biggest tech recruitment firms that there are. So most tech recruiting firms are wanting these kind of fresh college graduates, that are to come and get their first job and start recruiting. And that's where you're going to cut your teeth. You're going to cut your teeth on at some kind of agency. So, generally speaking, K-Force, Insight Global, Robert Half, these are all pretty big recruitment firms that are kind of like McDonald's recruitment firms, where people come in and come out and learn how to be a recruiter. And they're all over the country. So first things first is look and see what's in your area by typing tech recruiting firm in Google, and your local listings will show up. The second thing is that it's fine for you to apply directly, but you'll see in some of my other videos that applying directly is really not the best strategy. Fucking fire alarm. Ooh, sorry. So applying directly isn't the best strategy. You're gonna want to try and find somebody on LinkedIn. Go onto LinkedIn and kind of type in maybe Robert Half and your area. And just try and find someone that's willing to refer you, because if you get referred, then it's way more likely that you'll actually get an interview. So that would be the first step. Identify the firms in your area and reach out to somebody that works there and see if they're willing to refer you. One side caveat is, I guess that's kind of redundant, one caveat is that she was coming from healthcare. So because she was already in healthcare, and there's, healthcare recruiting is a big industry, she might have had an easier time just looking into healthcare recruiting just to kind of get her into the door. But most people start with agency recruitment, and that's going to come from one of these bigger recruiting things. So yeah, reach out, try and get referred if you can. Try to find someone who's an account manager or a recruiter, or even better yet, someone that's even higher than that, maybe a partner or something like that of a firm. And then once you get your interview scheduled, what you want to do is basically have an understanding of how recruitment works. And the way that it works is, on day one, if you get a job, you are going to have, they're going to sit you down and say, okay, we have a financial analyst with Amazon, and a project manager with Google, and a customer support engineer with Oracle, and a software engineer at Netflix. And all these companies want us to fill this role for them. So your first job is going to be to sit down and make sure you understand what all of those jobs are. So you don't really need to know about tech recruiting per se, because you either take a job because there's learning value in it, or you take a job because there's money value in it. Those are the only times you take a job. Ideally, you get both. But if you have to choose one or the other, that's going to be okay. And if you don't get either, then you should quit. But yeah, so you get in the door, and you learn all these recs, and with each requisition or job description, whatever, it's going to have keywords. So like with a software engineer at Netflix, you'd see keywords like Java and distributed systems and maybe AWS and like cloud infrastructure or whatever. And what you'll end up doing is either you'll use something called LinkedIn Recruiter to find different people that using those keywords, their profiles will show up on LinkedIn, and then you reach out to those people and say, hey, Netflix is hiring for a full-time software engineer. Are you interested? And that's essentially what recruiting is. And your abilities as a recruiter are going to come in from how much volume you're able to produce, meaning how many people you can reach out to, and also how accurate your reach outs are, like what your response rate is, how much people respond to you, and how, when you actually get people interviewing, how often are these people actually qualified and do they actually get the job? So on day one, you have these different job requisitions, and you learn them all: financial analyst, software engineer, customer support. They all have keywords, and you slowly start looking for these profiles and building a schematic of what an ideal candidate looks like for this role. And then you go into LinkedIn, and you don't even need a LinkedIn Recruiter. With the LinkedIn that you have right now, basic LinkedIn, you can type into the search bar Java, Amazon, Florida, and you'll see all these people that of profiles of Java engineers in Florida. And you can reach out to those people by sending them a connect invitation and saying, hey, are you open for work? And if they accept it, then you can send them the job description if you think they'd be good. So that's day one. And as you cut your teeth in recruiting, you're probably going to have a pretty low base salary to start off with. But every placement that you make, which really means that every person that you get into an interview process that actually gets hired, will tack on commission to your paycheck. So, say your salary is $50,000, and then you make a placement that is, FTE, which means full-time employment, and FTE placement, and the fee is 20% of the salary, and it's $100,000, so that's $20,000 is cut 4 ways, so you end up getting, $5,000 of that. After tax is a $3,000 bonus or something like that. So, God, crypto is crashing. Oh, Lord. So that would be day one. So if you go into an interview, you would say, I don't have experience in this, but I understand how it all works. I understand how phone screens are structured. I understand what sourcing is. I understand what closing is. I like talking to people, and I feel pretty hungry to try and fill these jobs and eventually get to the perks that a lot of people have with tech recruiting, which is remote work and flexibility in their schedule, and the joy of getting somebody a new job, especially when they really need it. That is pretty effing cool. So, I'm trying to think of any other things that would be useful. I have an ebook that you're welcome to download and purchase for the low amount of, I think it's $6. Maybe it'll be more, inflation, guys. But right now it's $6. And I've gotten great feedback on it, so I'm really glad that it's actually useful, especially for people just getting started. I'll put a link in the description to that. And yas, is there anything else that you guys should know? I don't know. If you have any other questions, just put it in the comment section. And as always, may the recruiting odds be in your favor, and make sure you trust the journey. Trust it.